Oh, man. Jeez. You will not believe how hard it is to go to Kroger nowadays, guys. It is just a different world out there. Just to go ahead and get yourself some nice sarsaparilla. Woo! Alright, everyone. How's it going? It's your host and founder of the American Rail Club, Demetrius Villa. And man, it is just crazy out there. So let's go ahead and get ourselves started here. Sit back, relax. Let's see who's on right now. Hello, Eugene. Hello, Pensy fan. Hello, Eugene. Got two Eugenes. Eugene Harris and Eugene Balfour. Hello, Holly. How's it going over there in the bedroom? Alright, we're all doing alright. Good. Hope you guys are doing great today. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started. Well, we'll go ahead and enjoy this nice Sioux City sarsaparilla. It's one of my favorites. This actually, yeah, probably my favorite sodas. Old-fashioned like that. Cheers, everyone. Alrighty. Hello, Highcast. Yes, indeed, Pensy fan. Privatize the railroads. Yeah, the Kroger in Raccoon City. I've been meaning to go ahead and replay those new Resident Evils that have come out. I remember playing the old ones on the PS1. Man, those were freaky back then. Hello, Not Ruiz Railroad. We'll go ahead and get started in about... Give it another minute or so. Let everybody get in here and gather around. Share some stories out from the Outlands, from the Zone, whatever you want to call it now. New Vegas. We are living the dream, the nightmare, I guess. I don't know. As long as you guys are being safe out there, I mean, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are staying safe. And I know this is hitting hard for everybody, especially I do feel for those who have been really physically affected by this, directly affected by this, by the virus. I've had people in my family who have been directly affected by this, and I did put a video on our Patreon last night talking about that as well. And I do understand if some people who are now patrons are pulling back their pledges as well. It's understandable, especially in tough economic times. If you need to go ahead and pull back your pledges, more power to you. Go ahead and do that and save your money. But if you do have extra money in there and you're doing all right and you want to go ahead and support the club, please go ahead and do so. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Hello, Jerry Moe from Central Florida. Eugene Harris. My dad was thinking of visiting Columbus, Indiana. Please do. I don't know about visiting now, but I mean, there's not that much going on right now. People are still out on bicycles and walking around over here. Either they're blissfully unaware or really there's not much going on over here in Indiana. Yeah, the beard. Couple of weeks do some things to you guys. I'm enjoying this because most of the winter I had a full beard on. I was having the full brush and went ahead and shaved it off before I did the live stream before in March, and then went ahead and said, you know what, I'll just keep this on. Tell me what you guys think about it. But yeah, should we be reopening the economy in the next 2 to 4 weeks? We should have the economy still running. I don't know why it's shut down. We have to get back to work. And that's the other thing about this, guys, is that it's really hurting people who have been furloughed, laid off. This is probably worse than the Great Depression. It's going to be worse than the Great Depression because this is going to have implications for years to come. This is not just going to be over in the spring. We're already in spring, so everybody's saying that this is going to just blow over in the spring. They were wrong. This is not going to blow over just in the summer. We don't know how many waves of this are going to be coming, whether they're mini waves or the giant second wave that everybody keeps talking about. We don't know because China's lying. People are dying. It's simple as that. But we know from history that, for example, the Spanish flu had 3 major waves. So, anyway, The Virgin Train versus the Chad personal vehicle. Oh, right now it's a good type to be in the car. That's from STG 44, the Storm Career. That's a good gun. I wish I could have, if they have it in any ranges right now. And I've had to stop, and no more autocross for the rest of this year, but the ranges are still open, so that's good. So get your funds out, guys. Everybody's now getting them, which I hope you guys have gotten some before this whole coronavirus pandemic, because prices are going to skyrocket, and now people are going to the stores and trying to find whatever oddball single chamber break open shotguns are still available. Good luck. But let's get on with this. If you're gonna guys visit Columbus, Indiana, it is a great architecture city. Texas Central Railway, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about everything here, guys. We're going to be talking about Amtrak. We're going to be sticking mostly to the U.S. for this. We're going to be talking about Amtrak. We're going to be talking about Virgin Brightline, Texas Central. We're also going to be talking about a little bit about the airlines and some history about that as well, of what is going on with the airlines, because they're asking for money. They're saying, we won't lay off people if you give us money. Well, here's the government. Here's some money. Thank you. We're laying off people, say the airlines. Yeah. Speaking of Virgin Trains, Express West secured their funding. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that too, Highcast. All right, so let's get started. On Thursday, this came out. Amtrak is asking train and bus operators to honk horns to honor transit workers. Because transit workers, the subways are still going on, whether they're being cleaned to heck right now and being sanitized. People still need to get to essential services. We cannot just shut down everything. So again, wear masks. I mean, if you're a crazy guy like me, you wear one of these things. It's an MSA Millennium that I've had surplus for a bit, or the other N95 or P95 respirator masks, your N95 masks. I mean, we got them all here. Make sure you go out in public if you're going to wear a canister of some sort, if you're going to be wearing one of those guys. But yeah, you can find surplus masks on eBay if you want. But yeah, wear a mask. I told you. What's up with the Chinese train crash? Well, the only Chinese train crash was back in 2011 with that was the massive one, the worst accident in all time. Try not to touch my face. Don't touch it. So let's go over here. Honk if you love transit. This is on TheVerge.com. So what Amtrak is doing right now is they're trying to get people's spirits up, and people love train horns. Okay, if you're any type of guy, you love the sounds of roaring engines and train horns. You love it. But right now, citizens kicked off the practice of cheering out the windows every night last month. Now Amtrak, which has seen its ridership obliterated by the pandemic, is asking train and bus operators to honk their horns today to honor transit and other essential workers who are on a different kind of front line of the fight against COVID-19. The passenger rail company says it's coordinating with the New York City area's Metropolitan Transit Authority, i.e. the MTA, New Jersey Transit, NJT, and the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, SEPTA, and Metrolink and AC Transit on the West Coast to get as many people on board for the so-called Sound the Horn campaign. So operators are supposed to let out 2 1-second horn blasts at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Here's a video of it as well, which I'll also post in the comments below. It's always cool to hear. I've always wanted to do that. It's like the kid from the Polar Express. I've always wanted to go ahead and pull the train horn. There you go, guys. You can go ahead and share that out if you want. But, I mean, this is, it's a nice bright spot to see. So, again, this is going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, and there's going to be some ugly coming out of this. So, let's get to some of the ugly again. Brightline has furloughed or laid off 250 workers after it suspends South Florida service due to coronavirus. And this has been really tough for the rail industry that is just finally getting its legs here in 2020 into United States transportation service. And unfortunately, passenger rail is getting hit really hard, especially privatized passenger rail, which is now starting to come back into this country. Everything is hurting. Everything is hurting. But especially Brightline, which has just started, they don't have enough, capital on end. But this is hard, really hard. Laying off 250 out of 300 employees of its South Florida workers this week after announcing Wednesday it was suspending its South Florida rail service. Now, here's the good thing, though, that the company hopes to rehire most of its workers once service resumes, but said it was too soon to say when that would be. The layoffs were not limited to local station and track workers. Among those laid off was Bob O'Malley, the vice president of corporate development. Okay? Now, why it's not as it's sad, but unlike most layoffs, it's not angering. Because usually what happens on most layoffs when, companies like these massive companies have these golden parachutes for their, the CEOs or everybody else, all the peons get laid off. Like some certain diesel engine companies nearby that, the peons, the workers in the factories, or those that just got hired get laid off. But all the VPs, all the, the top employees get to stay on and they get raises afterwards. So this, they did lay off Bob O'Malley, which is, quite sad. And, hopefully he's able to go ahead and, find something else pretty soon. And hopefully all those for the time being can find some temporary work before they're working on the railroad once again. You can see the tweet here. I'm sad to share that I've been laid off from Virgin Trains USA, but still proud of our good work in Florida, California, and Nevada. I'll continue to advocate for transportation, which will be even more important in the post-pandemic recovery. And he's absolutely right about that. Absolutely right. And obviously, I'm looking for a new job, so please retweet. Please retweet so Bob can find a new job, and also the rest of the 250 workers in Brightline. I'm sure Bob will be okay. The rest of the people who are, working from paycheck to paycheck are going to be the ones that are going to be hurting the most of it. 700 of the construction workers in the Orlando route are still employed. That is still going on, so they're not stopping construction on that. If anything, this at least gives them time to at least catch up on that while everybody's now paused. Construction work is still an essential service. They're still working on that. So road construction is still going on. Railroad construction is still going on. This is going to happen right now. STG44 asked, didn't Brightline change its name to Virgin Trains? Yes, it did. But we still here call it Virgin Brightline, so we don't cause confusion here. Since the trains, well, they still say Brightline on them. So, I mean, it is hard to differentiate between that. So, I mean, it is challenging in these times that, all these smiling faces. And I know a lot of these people who work here at Brightline. Every time that I've gone to South Florida, I meet them. They know me by name. And, it's just sad, to see this going on. Look at this. Miami-Dade's jobless rate doubled in March, and that's shy of the true picture. I mean, again, most of the jobless rates, there's a lot of people that have been out of work for the longest of time. They don't count that in the unemployment rate. So again, the true unemployment rate, even before all this coronavirus pandemic, I was saying before, back in January on a live stream, that the true unemployment rate is about 23% and has been slowly decreasing since Trump has been in office. But again, now that's probably skyrocketed, probably close to 30%. 30, even 40%. It's pretty bad, guys. So I mean, if you have a job, if you're like me, I'm thanking God every night that I do have a job. Every time that I say grace at every meal, I'm thanking God for that. And right now I'm working from home, making sure that doing more work than I was before. But it's hard. That's why I haven't been on for a while. So making sure everything is all right. So let's go ahead and keep going to the next one. But the good thing here about Brightline, and I know Highcast went ahead and mentioned this before, is that they were able to win the approval for $600 million in bonds for their Express West expansion over from California to Nevada, connecting Las Vegas to Victorville and hopefully Los Angeles, because they need to do that. Because I'm pretty sure most people aren't going to drive to Victorville to then hop on the train halfway to Las Vegas. I mean, that's just the reality of it, but I mean, hopefully they'll be able to do that. But I mean, it will be true high-speed rail. It will not be the diesel engines that they're running and FEC right now, but it will get there. So again, amid the broad economic slowdown triggered by the coronavirus, California has approved a $600 million private activity bond, a PAB, allocation for construction of the $5 billion Virgin Trains Brightline Railway. that within 4 years could be whisking passengers from Las Vegas to a distant Los Angeles suburb at speeds of up to 200 miles an hour. So again, this is going to be true high-speed rail. All right, let's check some of the comments over here. Meanwhile, while we're all in lockdown, California high-speed rail is still building its trains. Yeah, they're still building. We have an article on that too that we're going to be going over. Is it true that most commuter rails now run on a Saturday or Sunday schedule? I'm not quite sure about that, Adam. I know the schedules have been changed, but I'm not quite sure about, if they're doing a Saturday or Sunday schedule. Stalking Horse asks, wow, take the train to Victorville. Another, yeah, I can't say that on here on YouTube, but I know what you're saying, man. California, I'm not really a fan of the state, but, hey, so goes California, so goes the country. That's just the way it is. So approved unanimously in Sacramento, which is a good thing. And Brightline put this out on April the 14th, just this week. West Coast, we're coming for you. Today, we're officially approved for tax-exempt bonds for our privately funded rail line between Las Vegas and Southern California. This means on track to break ground by the end of this year, hopefully. They'll probably be able to break ground, whether it will be up and running within 4 years. Still, we don't know after this whole entire thing whether this will keep going on. Most likely, we're still going to be feeling the effects of this. It's going to be about 2 years, guys. At least 24 months of what this is going on. We're into it, but it's getting on there. Let's see, Bob O'Malley he's still tweeting on there. A good friend Bob, formerly finance chairman at Brightline. Kudos to California Treasurer Fionama for her leadership, and congrats to Virgin Trains. Go Brightline for this bond allocation, which will allow construction of California and Nevada high-speed rail to start this year. So good things are happening. Stalking Horse, you won't see a California high-speed rail station in Beverly Hills. Probably not. There should be, but those NIMBYs in Beverly Hills won't allow that. Not for them. Dongs, LO, do people think trains will be running in the near future? Illinois basically just went bankrupt. People still have to get to work. People still have to get things, and goods still have to move. If you're a truck driver, you still have to work. We actually, funny enough, we do have a truck driver here, Mr. Wednesday. I'm a truck driver. So thank you, sir, for the service that you're doing, and to stay safe there on the roads, because there's a lot of trucks now running on the roads, even though it's empty of most cars, but there's still a lot of trucks on the road. Now we went from good news. Now we're going again to bad news again. Timetable from Dallas to Houston. Uncertain after the company lays off 28 employees amid the outbreak. So it's taken a toll on Texas Central's partner countries, causing delays. And again, this is the company that's working with Japan in order to build the train between Dallas to Houston to connect them in 90 minutes at 205 miles an hour. So this is sad that this is going on. This is not just the rail industry. This is happening everywhere. So again, this is going all over the country, all over the world. The timetable for the highly anticipated bullet train between Dallas and Houston is uncertain. After Texas Central, the company building the project, laid off 28 employees Friday because of the pandemic. And this was back in March 28th. Texas Central CEO Carlos Aguilar said in a news release that the project is facing delays because of the toll inflicted by the pandemic in Italy, Spain, and Japan, nations where the company has partners. So a Spanish company is building the railroads, Japan is providing the funding and the technology, and Italy is also providing some of the building and construction and operations as well. So again, this is a consortium of companies that are coming together in order to build this, and this is what I've been saying, for the longest of time since I've been starting this, in my freshman year of college, that we need to work with other countries in order to relearn this from them and be able to Americanize it for ourselves, because that's the only way we're going to be able to do it, is to adapt these technologies for us. Yes, this is the Shinkansen, exactly. Japan bullet train travel. This is the Shinkansen. This is probably the project I'm most excited for, is the Texas Central Railway project, because you have Japanese technology coming over to the United States, and by far the Japanese railway technology is the best in the world. And there's, I'm having less and less good stuff to say about China because some people keep saying, well, what about China? China has the biggest, the largest rail network of high-speed rail in the world, more than double the whole world combined. Yeah, people aren't really too much of a fan of China right now. I don't think we're going to be having much Chinese technology coming into the United States right now. I mean, at least I hope people are learning so far right now. But I mean, this is a good thing for Texas. Again, the project is expected to create more than 17,000 jobs in the state. And those 17,000 jobs are not just from people working on the train company, but also the amount of jobs that are going to be the ripple effect from the amount of increased travel and the frequency of travel between Dallas and Houston. Okay, because you'll have workers that are working more in restaurants or in service areas that are nearby these stations. They will be servicing people who come to these stations. I mean, look at the stations that you see in Japan and look at the businesses that you see around these stations in Japan. Not just Japan and New York and, every other country that has a robust, New York kind of robust metropolitan rail system. So this is what we're seeing. But again, this is, some bad news. And then some ugly stuff. This is the ugly, guys. Texas state lawmakers ask U.S. Department of Transportation to end the high-speed rail project. So this was back in March 28th. And this is just now. This is April 9th. This was about a week ago or two. More than 24 state lawmakers are asking the U.S. Department of Transportation to end a private company's work. Let's get the sentence here. 2 lawmakers that are representative of the Texas state are asking to end a private company's work on a Dallas to Houston high-speed rail line that will pass through the Brazos Valley. This is the other time where I got to put on this other hat here. I got 2 hats on now, guys. This is my outside hat. What is it that you don't understand? This is a private company. Leave them alone. God dang it. Oh man. This is just ugly. In a time like this, now is when they want to go. When Texas Central is hurting right now, they want to go ahead and do this. But they know no bounds, and they're saying that the company simply does not have the financial resources required or expertise employed to continue with this project. Who was it that said this? In a letter to U.S. Department officials and state representatives, we gotta get the names of these guys because this is insane. So I am making separate videos, guys, about Brightline, about Texas Central, and about California, about what's going on with the big 3. That's what we call the big 3 in this time of crisis. So these will be coming out. They're going to be smaller videos, about 5 minutes or so. So easily digestible, shareable, and something at least quick and small and easy for me to get back into the groove of making edited videos that are actually good. So, 24 of these lawmakers, which is insane. So we'll get the names of these guys, and if you're living in Texas or people who are living in Texas, start writing letters, start calling these people. They're not going to stop. Even just calling them is not going to do anything because they'll just ignore you. They don't represent the people. A lot of these politicians, it's just sad nowadays. They don't represent them. To proceed otherwise would be an inexcusable waste of taxpayer dollars. Wait a second, it's the privately financed railroad that is getting money mostly from the Japanese companies in order to do this. It's not taxpayer funded. Jeopardizes the integrity of the rule-making process of the Federal Railroad Administration, which has already approved this project, but they keep going at it. Texas Central's proposed high-speed rail project is currently under review at the FRA last month. They probably will approve it. Texas Central officials said they expect to receive FRA approval this summer for the line's construction. So again, they are going to get the approval probably, most likely. 99% sure they're going to get it. Or else the FRA is really gonna hear some heat from this, and that's not gonna be good. Look, if the FRA was able to approve and help Brightline to get going, they're probably going to be able to do this as slowly as they chug along. But it will get done. Texas Central then announced that it laid off 28 employees, citing the outbreak. So again, of course. Look at the comments over here. I would still prefer railway stock than airline stock. Texas, where the state motto is friendship, unless you want to build a railway, in which case it is backstabbing. Private enough said, wasting taxpayer money, they should know. Shovel ready. Thank you, FRA, for all your hard work. I don't know. That was pure boomer posting there. I don't know if this guy was pro or con. Not not surprised. Too many head in the oil bucket naysayers in the USA. So again, most people are for this. Look, the top comments over here are still for this. And again, we will be talking about the airlines over here. Yeah, that's probably some of the other things. So Highcast made a good point over here. Some of the representatives are nowhere near the TCR alignment. There are people from Conroe, the Woodlands, and even Lubbock, despite none of those communities being near the TCR's alignment. Yeah, I probably would be interested to see, who's, where the money's coming from these people, OpenSecrets.com, it shows a lot there. Follow the money. I'm pretty sure there's some oil lobbying and some airlines that are going onto there. You never know. You never know. So we got to look at this and see. And again, this is non-alcoholic, so don't worry. I'm keeping it PG today, guys. All right. Maybe next live stream, if it's on a weekend, if we make it, or maybe on a Friday, we'll bring in some alcohol. I like that Gold Rush cider that New Day Brewery did in Indianapolis. But yeah, Artificial King. Yes, I do look different, guys. Adam Bucera asked, I know he's been asking this the second time he's asked this, so I apologize for not answering your question, but honestly, I don't know what's going on with the Honolulu Railway construction. I haven't been looking at that project for months, so I know they've been working on it the last time I saw it, but as most construction in the country is probably still going on, and I know that is a government funded project, so it most likely will continue on. Honolulu needs more trains over there. It's a lot of tourism. So again, let's talk about California. This is from the Press Enterprise, and a lot of people in California now are starting to get upset, rightly so, about what's going on in California because they've been building this for years and there's nothing to yet show for it, and they started in the wrong place. And I've said that before in a previous video about California high-speed rail. But you guys can go ahead and look at that. If you want, I'll go ahead and put a link here. Just let me know, and I'll put that on there. So let's go ahead and read this. While Californians are at home slowing the spread of coronavirus, lawmakers should be keeping a close eye on the High-Speed Rail Authority. In a new review of the HSRA's draft 2020 business plan, the Legislative Analyst's Office called attention to the short window of time for the legislature to exercise its power to make changes to the bullet train project. Some key actions that HSRA plans to take in the coming months would significantly limit the state's flexibility to change its approach to the high-speed rail project in the future, the LAO wrote. During 2020, the Rail Authority plans to enter into long-term contracts for track and systems as well as rolling stock that would commit the state to completing infrastructure for electrified service, curtailing other operations that the legislature might want to do if costs rise, funding is lower than anticipated, or legislative priorities change. So let's condense all that legalese and say, what the heck does that mean? They're saying that if the state runs out of money, they don't want to keep funding the project. That's as simple as it goes. It's not giving them flexibility according to the Legislative Analyst's Office. So that's really what they're looking at there. The track contract relies on a complex approach. The bullet train has now become a full-fledged satire of public works projects. That's according to the editorial board at the Press Enterprise. I'm not familiar with this newspaper, but I'm pretty sure they're not a fan of the California High-Speed Rail project. It is one of these things you have mixed feelings about because, of course, on the one hand, we do want high-speed rail in this country, and we want it to connect major metropolitan places in order to facilitate a highly efficient way of travel between point A and point B, and also while creating thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs if employed across the United States, as well as giving a new way to get around and also a new career path for a lot of younger people. Okay, this is not only that, it's also pushing the technological limits of our infrastructure, which is sorely far behind the rest of the world. So it's that's on the one hand. On the other hand, it is the state of California that is doing this. They're not the brightest people in the bunch. Okay, let's be honest. And California is a highly corrupt state. There is a lot of terrible things going on in California, a lot of homelessness, and a lot of joblessness, now even more than ever. The good thing is that, apparently Governor Gavin Newsom is doing a good job on clamping down on the coronavirus, and according to some people, and there hasn't been a ridiculously high number of cases that I thought there would be in California, especially given the proximity to Chinese businesses that are going back and forth between China and California, and so on, and the frequency of travel between the two countries, I should say. But it's pretty crazy that this is going on. California. I mean, I hope and pray that they can be able to get this under control and be able to actually just build something and get it going. But the longer and longer it takes, the more and more people are going to get, they're going to get angry and mad. We were talking about this 4 years ago, that we were talking that, they're going to do San Francisco to Los Angeles will be done by 2029. I don't know if that's still going to happen by 2029. I mean, we even made a joke that Darius dressed up as like an old man. He had like a fake beard on and was going, "Is California really gonna go ahead and get this done?" I was like, "No, not until 2021." Not. That was a long time ago. How time flies, guys. How time flies. But for those of you who are in metropolitan areas and still have to take transit, they are disinfecting a lot of trains and buses all over the United States, but people are still worried. And again, the NBA is suspended. This is back in March 13th, so this is when everybody was starting to freak out. But again, this is stuff. So they're doubling down on deep cleaning. That was over in Portland, in Seattle, everywhere. San Francisco Rapid Transit. I don't know why this lady doesn't have her mask on. But again, this was back in March, early March, so people weren't as serious as it is right now. But this is just crazy. What's going on? Definitely a far cry from what's going on in South Korea. So this is the thumbnail as we have for our video. And look at this. They are going like full. They got the full CBRN suits on. They got the that's like an N100 respirator with filters on. They got the goggles. Man, they got everything. They're spraying down solution, antiseptic solution. They South Korea. And this is the reason why, guys. Why South Korea, Japan, and Singapore and Taiwan, they haven't gotten it as bad as that. A lot of these countries, a lot of these Asian countries, are already very clean. I guarantee you, I probably could have thrown some food on a floor in Tokyo and probably would have eaten it and would have been perfectly fine. That's how clean things are over in Tokyo. Not so much in New York, guys. New York is a pretty nasty city. I mean, it's a far cry. And a lot of my family is from New York, and I have deep roots to that city. But, I mean, it is a far cry in a way from Tokyo. Tokyo was another tier up of greatest cities in the world. There's no way that you can compete with that. How it runs on clockwork and whatnot. And this is, again, South Korea, which they were able to clamp down really quick on this. Everybody took responsibility. People personally took responsibility. Everybody wore masks and got around, so they're not as hurting as bad. But this is pretty bad. Crazy indeed, crazy time. So if you are taking public transportation, just to go ahead and summarize this article and to give in my own personal tips as well, do wear a mask. Should you wear goggles? Yes, because, the three places that this virus can go ahead and enter is in your eyes, your nose, your mouth. And my girlfriend, who is in the health industry, has been, explaining to me, I was like, why can it enter into your ears and not, why can it enter in your eyes and not your ears? Apparently, there's a whole explanation as to why, but eyes, nose, mouth, that's where it enters. So yes, wear a mask that covers your nose and your mouth. Something more than, an N95 or more, or some goggles, or if not, get the whole thing and, gets everything down. And yeah, don't wear sunglasses when you're wearing these because you don't get the actual seal. That was just more for entertainment's sake. But yeah, you get forget getting one of these right now because they're over expensive right now. They're just inflated. But yeah, pretty good to put on. Get a good seal. Make sure it's in, and you're good to go. That's how it works. But yeah, you'll look like a crazy fool on there. So probably don't wear that. Get a respirator, get a mask, gloves. Also get gloves and bring some hand sanitizer, long sleeve clothes, and you're good. Yeah, as a New Yorker, it's true. It is a dirty city, guys. It is a dirty city. So let's talk about Amtrak and their changes to their schedule. So Amtrak has been canceling and suspending or cutting down on a lot of services, and that's really sad because this year was going to be the first year by most people. They were going to say they were going to go ahead and actually break even with their costs and their profit. They were actually going to have the first time in close to 50 years a break-even year. But now that's just gone down the toilet. The Amtrak style of toilet, and that's a really bad toilet to be on top of because it's, this is so sad to see what is going on all over the industry, guys. But I'm trying to leave you with a bit of hope, and I will leave you with some hope later on, and keep you going with this because again, this everybody's going to be suffering to this. How we prepare and how we go ahead and get ourselves up after this and respond. That's going to make all the difference. That's what's going to make all the difference. So most readers are very aware of the massive impact that the coronavirus had on passenger rail operations, both transit and Amtrak. Amtrak released information about its service plan on Friday, April the 10th, which is reproduced below. So as you can see, this is everything operating on a reduced schedule, and I'll go ahead and run down through these so you guys can go ahead and see it. But again, this is pretty crazy. The Adirondacks, no service north of Albany, Amtrak Hartford Line, Amtrak Thruway buses, California Zephyr, Capital Corridor, Cascades, Empire Service, Ethan Allen Express, Hiawatha, Linney, Illinois Zephyr, Lincoln Service, Maple Leaf, Missouri River, Northeast Regional, Pacific Surfliner, Piedmont, San Joaquin's, Valley Flyer, Vermonter, Wolverine. These are all operating on a reduced schedule. I repeat, these are all operating on a reduced schedule. Now, the ones that are suspended services, the Acela, the Carolinian, the Downeaster, the Keystone, the Pennsylvanian, the Pierre Marquette, and the Winter Park Express. Again, these are all suspended services, unfortunately. How many lines did Amtrak cut this spring? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 that have been cut, suspended lines this year. I don't know why there's some deleted comments over here, guys, but I don't like. Why do you have to build a train to help the homeless? It's more important. Okay, guys, don't delete messages. I can go ahead and again, I'm all for free speech, so let them talk and let's see. That's taking advantage of the groupless group to boost your train. Why do you have to build a train to help the homeless? Look, the trains aren't gonna go and help to build the homeless. Which is more important, train or homeless? It depends on if if you want to build transportation for people and make more jobs for people to have an opportunity to be able to get a job. It's going to be that. There's always going to be homeless people in life, no matter what. There's always going to be. It doesn't matter what time or what place. There will always be homeless people, whether you're in New York or in Tokyo or anywhere else. It doesn't matter what's the most opulent time. But we need to have services for people. We need to have opportunities for people. And high-speed rail gives a tremendous opportunity. That's just the simple of it. But, I mean, that's my take on it. From what I've seen from the research that we have done, that's what it is. So that's my answer to that. If you want to go ahead and, let me know. But, guys, don't be censoring people unless they're, being real trolls. The guy's asking he's asking a question. Just let him ask. All right? Sorry about that, but, let him ask. So what to expect due to service rejection? Some stations may not be staffed. If the station is closed, customers should proceed directly to the platform to board their train. I hope they have people checking, who's going. I guess they probably do. They always do have the conductors there. Cafe service will also be suspended on select trains. Other service may be impacted as circumstances change. So much for the dining car anyway. It doesn't look like we're really going to get them regardless. So they are giving packaged food now on Amtrak. That's what they're doing, which they were already doing since November. So, I mean, not much has changed because of this virus. Instead, again, suspended services. There are 7 suspended services, and there's about 24 operating on a reduced schedule. So, again, the Amtrak Downeaster is also temporarily suspended. And Amtrak is also waiving change fees on reservations made before May 31st. They never used to do that before, but they've been bringing on more airline type of fees and gotchas into the services, which is I'm definitely not a fan of, and that most people who are Amtrak riders do not like. Off topic, where did you get the hat you're wearing? So this is the hat that I got custom ordered. I'm still trying to find where I got this custom ordered from, because I'm also trying to sell them. And yes, guys, if you order them on Patreon, I know I keep saying it, and it's embarrassing, and it's sad for me to keep saying it again, that I am going to get them out. But now that I'm working from home, we're going to get that sorted out. So we're going to get there. All right, just make sure that I'll keep on it. We'll get the hats out, and I'll also keep them available for anybody who wants to go ahead and buy them who is not a patron, to go ahead and have that ability to do so. So here's some good news, guys. Here's some good news. So we went from bad, we're going to good. Amtrak is getting a $1 billion boost here. So they're getting $1 billion in funding from the Department of Transportation here. But this is pretty good to say. So again, this is Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, that she understood the need in rural America, which is why she announced the Federal Railroad Administration's $1 billion in funding for Amtrak. So half of that is going to go to the Northeast Corridor. The other half is going to go to everything outside of the Northeast Corridor to fund Amtrak. So it's providing to the CARES Act, providing $1 billion to Amtrak to offset the loss of ticket revenue, to pay for Amtrak's employees' salaries and payroll, to buy fuel for its operations, and construction materials for its ongoing necessary projects, and basically just otherwise maintain Amtrak's strong network of intracity passenger routes. That's according to Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao under the Trump administration. So at least they're doing some good things here for rail. Now, is it to the same extent of what they're doing for the airline industry? The airline industry is getting $49 billion. So they're getting a lot of money. But, thankfully, finally, Amtrak is actually getting into this plan, because that was something that I was upset about at the beginning of this, knowing that the airlines are going to get a whole bunch of money, but Amtrak is probably going to get nothing from Congress. So thankfully, they are getting something, and they're not going through Congress to do that. They're going through over there. So it's happening. K-Swag, show us your rails. Yeah, I had to button up this shirt, but don't worry, man. There'll be a time for that, but it's not for everybody. This is part of ARC's merch, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is part of ARC's merch. We're redoing the merch store as well. So if you guys have extra pocket change lying around and you want to get some ARC merch, we will have that ability soon. I will let you guys know. So we're getting back into our current operations this week. Okay, God willing. Moises Nunez asked, I also worry about the following projects: the Washington Metro Silverliner Phase 2, Avalia Liberty, and Moynihan Main Hall. So they are still working on all of those. They've already said that. So the Washington Metro Silverline, that's part of Washington Metro system, the DC Metro. They're probably still working on that. Avalia Liberty, they have delivered that. They're testing it. It probably will come out once the seller services come back online. They will be testing it. ARC OnlyFans account win. Yes, we'll also get our own charade of ARC simps as well following me. I don't know how that will work, but I don't know if you can have simps that are female. I mean, I guess some males. I don't know. People roll that way, That's but it's just what it is. And again, here's another article here on progressive railroading. U.S. DOT formally announces $1 billion in CARES Act funding for Amtrak. And this is probably why it happened, is because the Department of Transportation went ahead and did this. Because if it went through Congress, it would probably never happen. So, at least there's some good things that government can do if, they actually do it right. But that's when it actually comes to work. So, let's get off the rails and go a little higher here of what's going on in the airline industry. And yes, I know this is funny where I got this from the World Socialist website. Demetrius, why did you get this from the World Socialist website? Because we have to look at both sides, guys. So it's funny just to look at this. I have no I hold no quarter for socialist communists and their supporters at all, but I mean, still, we got to look at what they're writing and what's going on and what ideas are out there, okay? Because that's the only way that we can debate and compare and contrast. Except for communists, that the only time we can debate them is when they're falling 80 miles an hour down from a helicopter. But hey, you know what? Everybody's got a place to belong, even if it's off the railing of a helicopter. Everybody's got a place they belong. Aviation industry laying off thousands during pandemic while seeking bailouts. So, why did I bring this up? Because most people on both the left and the right agree with this. Why is it that they're laying off a whole bunch of people while seeking again bailouts? We've already gone through this back in 2008, in 2007. This is happening again, but this is worse. Because whereas in the housing market crash back in 2008, it was just an economic event. It was temporary. It will come back. Just as, the housing market has come back and has become, overinflated, that most millennials like me cannot go ahead and afford a house. And especially a lot of millennials that are now, on student loan debt and are not allowed to, claim bankruptcy on it or anything like that. But they can't own, they can't go ahead and own a house because they can't get the loan or the down payment needed for it. Yeah, because yes, the boomers are hoarding a lot of houses, but beside that, this is what's going on. Well, at least you didn't get it from poll this time. Yeah, like I said, guys, I look at everything. If it's information, I get everything. I was the kid that was picking up all the pamphlets everywhere to read everything because I could. That was me. Anytime I went anywhere in a vacation or anywhere, any rest stops, I was just taking every single freaking thing to read. That's how I am. Again, let me just go through this. Previously, a reckless, almost delirious optimism colored the thinking of airline executives. I don't think we're going to ever to lose money again, American Airlines CEO Doug Parker said in 2017. We have an industry that's going to be profitable in good times and bad times. Someone is eating a very nice minced crow that went out of a 737 jet engine right there. Minced crow indeed. This past December, Parker expected American, the world's largest airline with 130,000 employees, to pull down $3 billion in profit per year going forward. Now industry analysts are considering that American, which has a crushing $34 billion in debt burden, may likely go bankrupt for the second time in a decade. And they will probably get bailed out again by the government. It's insane that this is happening. So again, whatever this is from, he's right. He's right. It's insane that, these airline companies do not save for a rainy day. They take a lot of taxpayer money in stimulus and in bailouts. Well, not bailouts, but they take stimulus money every single year. And whether it's tax exempt or whether it's in terms of, well, not tax exempt because that's not really a stimulus, but in terms of actual money being given by the government for that, it's happening. But all this money that they're getting in terms of the amount of fees that they're doing, they're not making the planes any faster. They're not making the services any better. In fact, the services have been getting worse and worse increasingly on the airlines. People are more and more upset about the treatment from airlines and how they treat their customers. But yet, all the money that the airlines were getting in profit were going into stock buybacks. That's what American Airlines was doing. That's what United Airlines was doing. United was probably, in American, were probably the worst offenders in this, in the stock buybacks. We discussed this in the last, I should have brought back the tweet about that, of the chart that was showing how much money each of these airlines were spending on stock buybacks. But most of the profit, if not, was close to 70% of the profit was being used on stock buybacks, not on fixing the company. Because that's what happens when you have the government involved in it. If you have a free source of money, then what's the whole point of going ahead and putting that money to make your service better if you're the only top dog in charge and the government is basically mandating you to say, yeah, you're the only competitor. There's no high-speed rail competing against you. You're getting free money from us. So there's no need to compete in a free market. That's what happens. And United does break guitars too, yeah. Let them die. Well, let them die. They may in fact do that. So we'll go ahead and talk about that later. Jobs cutoffs and layoffs are widespread throughout the aviation industry, including airplane manufacturers. GE Aviation, one of the world's largest suppliers of aircraft engine, announced on Tuesday they were laying off 10% of their U.S. workforce, or 2,600 people. So it is just insane of what is going on, and they're asking for money. And you have companies like Boeing, which has a lot of business now coming out of China, that is asking for a whole ton of money, and to say, if we don't get this money, we're going to lay off workers. And the U.S. government goes, okay, well, here's your money. Oh, thank you for the money. We're laying off workers now. This is just insane. Yes, this is exactly. This is called corporate welfare. I was getting to that, but this is what it is. It's corporate welfare. It's not capitalism. This is just latching on and upholding an oligarchy. Just basically, it's a market socialism in a sense, but hey, they won't figure it out. They haven't figured it out yet. That this is what government is doing. This is more government power. This is exactly what you guys wanted, right? Unbelievable. Similar state interventions are being taken worldwide. What do you want? What do you guys want? You want state intervention? This is what it is. This is exactly what's happening. It's not for the people. It never has been. Unbelievable. Ah, God. Yeah, this is just going on everywhere, guys. And again, like I said before, in times of disaster and in times of chaos, there are going to be people and there are going to be organizations that are going to take advantage of a crisis for their own benefit. That is just how it works. Yeah, we did start Gramble. Gramble, man, you're getting late on these, but, I can't blame you because I haven't been on the ball for the last couple of weeks, so, yeah. This is just insane, guys. Nicholas Mahoney, question. Do you think this pandemic will shift people's travel behaviors? Like, do you think people will be more weary to fly when the time comes? Absolutely. This is going to take time, guys. This is going to take time. I do have an article on here that, we're not going to see normalcy in a while. I mean, then again, what was normal before this? What was normal? You had the airlines thinking that everything was gravy and they were never going to lose money ever again. You had governments propping up companies and ways of transportation that are not efficient in this country. We're basically living in clown world. And now it's just completely gone upon its heels, and we're probably still not even at the actual. We're probably not even in the middle of the book here, guys. So it's just happening here. I don't know. Socialists won't admit that their ideas are the very problems they create. Yeah, that's the problem with our commie friends. Unfortunately, they just keep going on the ideas of insanity. What airlines are reducing flights in the U.S.? All of them. All of them. It's all of them, Adam. All of them are. Yeah, but look at this. United is in line to get $5 billion in financial assistance from the federal government. Again, United is one of these companies that are saying, please give us money so we don't lay off workers. And there have already been signals from a lot of market analysts that are saying that, guys, United is going to get ready to lay off people. So that'll probably come this week. Okay, I'm going to make a bet that they're going to go ahead and lay off people this week, or they're going to announce a layoff this week. Yeah, the Koch brothers is definitely benefiting from this pandemic. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of these, crony neocons and, loony leftists are going to go ahead and try to take, control over this because a lot of these people are control freaks. That's the problem. They don't let it up to the free market or for people to choose. They're control freaks. Like these, these loons over in Texas that are trying to go ahead and cut off the project, that they're not even living where the constituents are. They're not even, well, probably that, but they're not even living, or they don't even have a constituency where the right-of-way is going for this railroad. So what is it for them? Because they don't represent the people. They're representing lobbyists and lobbyist intuitions. That's the problem. Stop red pilling your girlfriend, by the way. The truth is the truth. That's all I'm here to seek, whether it hurts or whether the truth says I'm an ugly bastard. That's if it's the truth, it's the truth. I'm probably not. I'm not an ugly bastard. I know that. I know I'm not. Neither one or the other. Okay. I know my dad, and I look a lot like my dad, and my dad is one heck of a good-looking son of a gun. So definitely not either of those two. Some airlines are flying empty planes to keep their certification current. That's absolutely correct. So we will keep going on that. Hello, Renault Reed. I hope you're doing well over there in upstate New York. All right. Hope you're being safe, man. All right. Situation is getting any better. United expects to carry fewer passengers through the entire month of May than it did during a single day in May 2019. This is just crazy, guys. And of course, I mean, look at what's going on. So, Helene Becker, Airline Industry Analysis at investment research firm Cohen. But the scale of this crisis is unprecedented, even with billions in aid. Analysts say the industry will be dramatically smaller by the end of the year. This is a complete takedown of the airline industry. We've lost decades of growth, and it will take years to recover. I don't know what decades of growth means, but they're still running the same planes that they've been running for the past 30 years or so, and we're nowhere close to having actual supersonic travel. But hey, you know what? Some people want to give themselves gold stars when they don't deserve it. But look at this. American Airlines crammed only 11 passengers into the last 3 rows. So again, even during this, the gall that these airlines have, especially American Airlines, is probably one of the worst of them, still keep going on with this. It's just insane. So where's the picture of this? And of course, you have this guy, wanting to say, oh yeah, we really do care about our customers and social distancing guidelines, and we want to practice the social distancing guidelines that we have been given from the CDC. But yet, you cram over 11 passengers into the last 3 rows because they have basic economy class. Not let alone that the whole plane is empty. I mean, you can have people going ahead and having parties and just open up the drink cabinets for everybody and, have it all. Not that you should do that. It's probably not financially wise, but you know what I mean. But you go ahead. These 11 passengers had basic business or, economy or basic economy or whatnot, how they call it in American. I forgot what it is, but, basically, plebeian class tickets. And they packed them all into the last 3 rows. Why? Because that's the way they've been running. That has been normal for the airlines for the past several decades, is treating their customers like trash and making sure that their bottom line is good for their shareholders while buying back their stocks. That has been normal for the airlines. So do we really want to go back to normal? That's the thing, guys. What is normal? What is it that we're trying to get back to? Are we trying to get back to normal, or are we trying to create a new paradigm? That's what we're trying to do here. We don't want to... What normal is this? What normal is this? And of course, they're going ahead and apologize, and they decline to provide them with the flight numbers to the trips in question because they don't want to go ahead and say this to, Mother Jones, which is, again, kind of similar to these guys over here. But, we got to look at both sides of what's going on. That's how I've always operated for the longest of time. It's insulting, a flight attendant told Mother Jones. Let's suppose I do go on Amazon and find a mask, but it's in purple. Well, do you want me to wear it because it's purple and it's not beige? I don't know what this is in reference to. In addition to the claims that they refuse to prioritize passenger safety over pricing tiers, even on nearly empty flights, the airline allegedly hasn't given attendants hand sanitizer. So not only do we get one less olive in our salad, now they're getting 0 hand sanitizers for the attendants. Although it does provide sanitizing towelettes. Okay, those things that, you rub for 2 seconds and they rip apart into pieces and disintegrate. It only began allowing attendants to wear face masks in the final week of March, and then only if they were in a neutral color. So that's what this is in reference to. Okay, that makes sense. So I guess an anonymous flight attendant said that, if you go on Amazon and you find a purple or, let's say a neon pink mask with, God forbid, My Little Pony on it, there's some bronies that follow us, but, I'm not a fan of that degeneracy, but, hey, it's what it is, guys. When you're in the dregs of the internet, you get in with weird people. But this is what it is. So if you get, let's say, My Little Pony mask on there, you can't wear it, even though it is, let's say, certified N95. You can't wear it because American Airlines wants to make sure that everybody matches. Make sure that you have your swag on, guys. All right? Okay? You got to have your swag on. You have your little pins before you go on American Airlines. This is just sick. Yeah, there's a lot of blame to go around, but I mean, once you get the blame, it's now it's got to fix it. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of conservatives, a lot of neocons, and a lot of liberals, because they're a lot of bleeding hearts out there that just let this happen. They hear it and they do nothing about it. So it's both. It is both that we're living in this time. But could there be something out of this? Well, this is the Foundation for Economic Education. And this is a whole article over here that I've been reading about railroad history, suggesting that federal bailouts could spell doom for the airlines. And this is the lesson from the Great Northern Railroad and James J. Hill, that the winners governments pick today are the losers of tomorrow. So this is what happens when the governments usually pick out companies, and this has happened in railroad industries. Again, I don't say that it was completely private industry that made the railroads what it is today. A lot of it was. Okay, and a lot of the innovation came mostly from private enterprises and private innovation in the railroad industry. But the downfall of the railroad industry, a lot of it came from government intervention, whether it was government bailouts for the railroads or whether it was governments going ahead and overtaxing the railroads to go and build these airlines and the roads that it did post World War II. Of course, after taking over the railroads for the Defense Act, but that's just what it is. The CARES Act promising $58 billion for airline carriers, and I'll put this article here. I'm going to put all the articles in the comments below so you guys can be able to see it. But yeah, the majors, I would not be surprised if a lot of people undermining Texas Central are politically conservative. You're absolutely right on that. Most people in Texas are politically conservative, and I would guarantee there's probably not one Democrat against Texas Central Railway. Again, there's a lot of people that in Texas Central that are conservative, and the guy who started it was conservative as well. He was a Republican. But, again, a lot of this doesn't have to do. You have to look past the party lines. You got to look at also who are funding these people. Where are they beholden to? They're more beholden to money than they are to, being, let's say, Republican in name only, being a rhino. That's what it is. Was Hill referring to railroads that got land grants? Great Northern didn't use land grants. No, they didn't, but it was government bailouts as well. But we'll go ahead and go through this. This is the story over here, the myth of the robber barons. Let's go here. A similar story played out 150 years ago in the then dominant travel industry of the day, railroads. Burton W. Folsom Jr. outlined this story in his book, The Myth of the Robber Barons, identifying two models of entrepreneurship. The political entrepreneurism of lines like the Union Pacific and Central Pacific versus the market entrepreneurism of James J. Hill and his Great Northern Railway. As Folsom details, the former chased government largesse ultimately in exchange for the loss of control of their business, while the later chased profits through prudent business decisions. Hill's success, juxtaposed with Union Pacific's and Central Pacific's failure, is due in no small part to his steadfast refusal to accept any federal subsidies. So that was the whole reason why. It wasn't that we were looking at a failure of the Great Northern Railroad, but what happened to it. So this is what we're seeing here. Again, this could be a paradigm shift. Where I say this is probably a very good opportunity for rail once this whole virus is over, and it will be over. The question is of when. But when it does, the airlines are going to be more hurt than the railroads. Okay, the railroads are going to hurt. The airlines are getting absolutely pulverized by this. Okay, they're getting shot, and in the torso, in the head. The airlines are losing a chunk of their head, while the railroads are getting shot in the legs. Definitely, things are slowing down, if not in full stop. But I mean, it's not as bad as what the airline industry is. This is Armageddon for the airline industry, and it is worse than 9/11 because 9/11 was just one day. A lot of people died, and yes, we are still reeling from the consequences of 9/11, whether it's, the disastrous wars in the Middle East for allies that don't really care about us, or if it is the amount of insane safety regulations that have now plagued the industry. But again, that's a story for another day. Let's see over here from the comments. The death of electric car by monopoly oil, automotive, and aviation. These are proof that the government intervention kills innovation, adaptation, and competition. You're absolutely right. If you want to look no further than what's going on with the electric cars. GE is another garbage company. But when GM got the bailouts, I mean, they weren't garbage companies when they started, but they definitely are pretty garbage now. It's garbage electric and garbage motors. But garbage motors, when they got the bailouts, they were also promised by the Obama administration to get some stimulus as well for creating electric cars. And GM, being as money grubbing as they are, say, oh boy, more free money for the government. So let's do the least amount of work as possible. Let's make a crappy electric car, the Chevy Volt. That's not really electric. It's a glorified hybrid car. Make it ugly. Make it so that nobody buys it, so we don't have to make it, and we'll still collect money. Meanwhile, Tesla was just starting up. They needed the money. And they said, well, it's the government, but we'll take whatever money we can. They used that money to go ahead and design fabulous electric cars. So, I mean, Tesla, all you have to do is look at Tesla's stock price. I mean, it went pretty far down during this crisis, but now it was, back up to like 700. And, all the bears of Tesla are like, how is this happening? Because they're still there. Yeah, and who framed Robert Rabbit? Yeah, what happened with the Firestone and General Motors, they killed off the streetcars. That was basically government mandated, too, because government wasn't going to stop them. All they did was, charge GM $1 or something like that. It was just insane. Or it was $2,000 or something like that. The price of a Chevy Bel Air at that time. Whoop-de-doo. Oh no. Just a slap on the hand for GM. How dare you destroy an entire industry, Federal subsidies incentivize speed, not efficiency. The subsidies were paid in the form of both land grants. So again, if you guys know the story about what happened with the Union Pacific and Central Pacific, with the building of the Pacific Railroad, a lot of these companies were, it wasn't, just a story of, a great way to connect the country. There was a lot of dark stuff behind this story too. There was a lot of bad things that happened over here. These two companies were going ahead and building as much rail as they could and, zigzagging along so they can collect the max amount of money of the land grants that they got in order to do that. So there was a lot of corruption between these two companies. And, of course, there was a whole lot of stuff that happened over there. But, again, Union Pacific's profitability decisions were also subject to government approval. Branch lines, smaller lines, and the main line into rural communities, which could have helped Union Pacific's bottom line, were often not approved by federal bureaucrats. Additionally, the Federal Bureau of Railroad Accounts required constant checking of Union Pacific's books. Hill's line, on the other hand, was methodically surveyed and built on the shortest routes possible with the least gradient possible and using the best steel and other materials on the market at the time. Rather than political largesse, Hill made his decisions based on profit and loss. But for all the efficiency that Hill built into his line, he was able to transport across the country faster, cheaper, and with less maintenance costs than Union Pacific and Central Pacific. Arguably, the most important aspect of the viability of his business was the freedom to conduct business untethered by the strings that accompanied government subsidies. So that's, and credit Mobilier and, and Dodge and all those kooks that have, had that. That's another disaster. I should be doing, that's another thing. Instead of doing all these videos of what's going on now, we should probably look back into the past too. So I'm actually going to put that down. We got to do some railroad history here, guys. That's, that's a big thing of me. I love history, and I do have a whole bunch of books on the Union Pacific and the Pacific Railroad and, all that. So I should be reading those and probably getting some stuff done. This deserves its own video. This definitely does deserve its own video. So let's leave that for now. Let's go on to this. What's going on? So yeah, air travel. How long can the recovery go? This guy's saying 4 to 5 years. About 4 to 5 years to recover to what level? What level do we call recovery? Is what these people don't truly tell you. There's a lot of ways you can twist around economic figures, and I know because I'm a strategic planning analyst. I know what the economy is going, and I look at it. I don't know where the economy is going. Let's backtrack there a little bit. I don't know where the economy is going. Nobody knows where the economy is going. If I knew where it was going, I probably wouldn't be doing any of this. I'd be sitting out in a $1 million bunker somewhere, shooting off guns and driving on my little private drag strip and whatnot, and be having a good day and playing Warzone and Apex Legends. But since I don't know the economy, here we are. Or probably if I knew the economy, I'd probably be running a railroad business. That's probably what I'll be doing. Why am I going to be selfish? Come on, I'm not going to be selfish, guys, right? But yeah, this is just saying. Yeah, probably these people don't have a clue how release the stuff works. In Japan, or have actually ridden on a Shinkansen or really know what's going on. Probably. But yeah, we'll go to those questions later. But let's just go to this. We got a couple more articles left about what's going on. So again, billions of dollars in bailouts. Of course, our money's going to crap because it's being inflated, and the Fed keeps, printing money. It's like, stop! You can't printing money, and printer go brrr. They're just printing out money like crazy. But and a lot of people are saying, Trump is, this is Trump's fault or whatnot. I mean, Trump is doing what he could. If he does too much, people will call him a dictator. If he does too little, they'll say that he's not taking this seriously. So he's been taking the middle road, and he's probably been doing, at the best job that anybody could in this situation. Could it be better? Yes. But could it be absolutely worse? Absolutely. The main thing that he wants to do is get the economy back rolling. That's not going to happen until we're all wearing masks, getting back to work. And even then, the other problem is the supply chain. And you have a lot of factories that, you do have the masks, do have people working. However, that doesn't mean the supplies that they get in order to build their own products, they're not really getting those supplies because you have other factories that are not working or get a lot of products over from overseas. So this is the whole problem. This is how complex the economy is. And Trump understands that because he's a businessman. He does know that. And you do have to give him some credit that he does know a little bit more about the economy than some of these, kooks and animals over in Congress. He does know more about that. And that's why he's trying to get the economy back to work. That's his main goal right now. And luckily, the other good thing is that not as many people have died from the coronavirus as this. And I've been saying this before. The worst part about the virus is not going to be the virus itself. It is going to be the implications that are going to be rippling apart from this and ripping apart people's lives from this. But this is just crazy because, the reason why is that there's going to be a lot more people that are going to be dying, I think, from the suicides or drug addictions from losing their jobs. Losing your job is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you. It causes a downward spiral in people's abilities and confidence in themselves to a really, really dark place. And I know that because I myself was laid off, and it was not a pretty sight. Now, luckily, the minute I got laid off, I got mad and I started my own company and tried to keep myself afloat. And was it good for the time? Absolutely. It did keep myself afloat. It did keep my brain in check. And it kept my sanity, most of all, in check. Okay? I did not collect not even one check of unemployment from the government. Okay? That's the type of guy I am. If you beat me down, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to throw back 5 punches into your freaking nose. But, a lot of people aren't like that. It can really hurt them. It's going to really hurt them. Yeah, and some think that the virus is a hoax. I don't think it was a hoax. The virus is real, okay? And it has killed people that I know and people in my family. But has it been, mass, wrecking apart people and, turning them into zombies and all that? No, it is not to that degree, okay? So you got to look at it from both angles, okay? And I can say that because I, and my family have been directly affected by this, okay? However, you got to look at it from a perspective of balance. You cannot just go ahead and shut down everything and go draconian on the entire things like places like in Michigan and whatnot, and people are going to get upset. Okay? That's just what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Are you still running your company? In a very, very minimal sense, but right now most of my work is for work. And the company has been doing, other things in marketing. So, I'm keeping it in track and whatnot. So if anybody needs, marketing services, I still do that for them. But I definitely don't do it for a niche, especially for real estate right now, which is getting pummeled. I mean, I saw the writing on the wall for the real estate industry. I said, this is not going to be good. The real estate industry is going to crash back in early summer of 2019. So I pivoted myself out of there. I really don't want to touch the real estate industry with a 10-foot pole at all right now. But I will wait for it to collapse and maybe, finally get some property. That would be nice. Get a couple of acres and have the dogs, run around free and, fix my own cars. But this is just insane. And look at this. Single passenger flights, the daily woes of airlines and the crews still working on them. This is just... It's pretty pretty eerie to see. And these whole airlines that every time that you get on a flight that you're shuffling along and you're going in with these now go in group B and now go in group C, and you always have to get the ticket that's always the last group, and you have to go to the seat all the way at the end, which makes no sense that everybody who's at the end should go in first. But that's, I know, so there's some other videos that have done topics on that on YouTube, and I'm going off my 200th tangent in this video, but that's how my mind is. It was like that Joe Rogan interview with Alex Jones that he goes over on a brilliant different tangents, and his mind is just exploding from the amount of dark holes that guy has gone down. God bless him, but I mean that guy has seen some stuff. But it's just crazy. It's what's going on over here. Nothing much from this article. It's just going on about what's going on with the virus and the causes of it, and somebody's personal story with what's going on. So that's that's one way of it. But outside the railroad industry, I told you guys about this. About saying that you shouldn't wear masks. Really, why the CDC and the Surgeon General's office said that people not to wear masks was because they didn't have enough masks on hand. The last administration got rid of all their masks and donated to other places. This administration didn't have enough masks and didn't prepare in enough time to get all those masks. So what do you have? Government failure. So in order to mask for government failure, excuse the pun, they went ahead and told civilians, don't get masks. You don't need masks. Masks won't help you for the virus. While in one hand, and then on the other hand, underneath the table, they're buying as much masks as possible in order to prepare and have the stockpile ahead. So what did it do? It probably got people sick. You see in other countries like in Japan, South Korea, and all these other Asian countries, they're all wearing masks. They're mandated to wear masks. Now we are mandated to wear masks. If I go into the office or go into the factory, at work, I have to wear a mask. And I've been saying that we should have all been wearing masks, back in February. But, nobody listened. Everybody thought, even my own family said that, oh, no, we don't have to wear masks. You don't have to send me those respirators or anything like that. I sent them anyway. Okay? And now everybody's wearing masks. Now when they go to Kroger, when they go to Publix, or wherever it is, if you're in the north or south of the country, now everybody's wearing masks. And unfortunately, everybody's going to grocery stores now, so now we have a concentrated area where all the virus is going to move anyway. So how does that make any sense? It doesn't. Hello, Darius. Just talking about you. There's Darius, my brother, online right now. This is a funny thing that you can have, the family involved in this. But this is the great thing about communication online, is that we can still stay connected in one way or another. Yeah, again, like I said in the last live stream, this is going to force the economy and force people now into the technology we have, because we have a lot of technology available for us, like things like Microsoft Teams and Zoom meetings and Skype, to be able to afford to have people work from home. Especially a lot of millennials and a lot of Generation Z and the Zoomers want to be able to work from home. And yeah, sometimes working from an office is overrated. For me, I like working at an office because it helps me to stay focused. And if I need to, find out about something, let's say a certain statistic, or to, ask a question or whatnot, all I have to do is get up, walk to the guy, whoever I need to ask to's office, and strike up a conversation and ask him the question, and then go right back to work. Now I have to go ahead and, go on Skype and, type a message or type an email and then, wait for whenever that other person needs to get back on time. But this is just what happens. Yeah. But that's that. And this was the funny article over here that I'm going to leave for you guys, and then we'll go to questions. So everybody's thinking that the flugaloo is going to happen now, and that we're preparing for martial law. So the Army is moving equipment by rail. Now, how much will I take the Army times talking about the Army that we're not preparing for martial law? I don't know, but I thought this was just funny to put ahead and move along. But again, part of it is that it's normal part of operations, but if they're moving vehicles and they're moving Abrams tanks and Bradleys over to one part of the specific part of the country, it's either for one thing. Either they're all getting ready to go ahead and move them over to another part overseas, or they're getting ready for something else. We don't know, but again, it's joint light tactical vehicles moving by rail through a Chicago suburb garnered 2,000 retweets, more than 4,000 likes. The Post said the vehicles were heading further east and asked if they were coming soon. So this was the tweet that this guy was going. My media can't be played. Play the media, god dang it. Yeah, so that is kind of spooky to see. I'll just put it larger here. You know what's even spookier? That this guy was still filming this in portrait. Why is it that in 2020 you are filming in portrait? I swear, for some of these people, they just have to put the camera the other way around. At least, like, just flip it around so even if they film in portrait, it is still in landscape. Because that is just one of my biggest pet peeves. The military should just go ahead and, court-martial him for that. Look at that Sears Tower. That is a pretty cool view to have. It's going down. Oh, man. But Saturday, Pentagon spokesman Jonathan Rath-Hoffman confirmed what others pointed out already. The trucks were the new Joint Light Tactical Vehicles. Yeah, those are. Transported by Army Material Command from a factory in Oshkosh, Wisconsin to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Again, that's what they're doing. It's probably for training and to have the stockpile of vehicles over there. So, just don't freak out. Now, could they do that? Could they be using this for martial law? Who knows? If they're going to do it, they're going to do with what they got anyway. So, what's with the creepy music or, sounds in the background? It doesn't sound like that. I live in Chicago and see this pretty frequently. Yeah. So, again, they're moving in from Oshkosh and, and going over to Fort Bragg. But this is all what's happening, okay? No tanks, all scout vehicles. Yeah, and the picture over here, those are all tanks, but those are here. These are all the scout vehicles and the Joint Light Tact vehicles. But yeah, it's not preparation for martial law. It's late stage statism is upon us. But that's what I want to leave you on, guys. It's don't freak out on everything. Okay, there could be something behind it. There could not. But how you don't freak out is that you prepare for anything that is going to happen. Okay, that means make sure that you have your food is stockpiled, making sure that you have masks, making sure that you're armed and prepared. I'm not going to show you my funds, but I do have plenty of funds. I can't say the other word because I don't want YouTube to censor me, and no, I'm not going to show you them because I don't want YouTube to censor me because we're not that channel. But yes, make sure you're prepared and make sure that you're going to stay safe and keep your family safe. And if you're living away from your family, talk to your family more often. And I'm probably the last one to say that advice because I should be, taking my own advice more. But that's what should be happening, guys. But this is the part that we have to be able to make sure, especially in these times, to keep safe, to keep close to our families, not too close. Social distance and whatnot. That's the new meme word now: is social distance, social distance, social distance. I hear that phrase one more time. What does it mean by social distancing? Okay? You want to keep a couple feet away from me? Then keep a couple feet away from me. You don't have to call it social distancing. Do I not talk to you? Do I not text you? Am I socially distancing myself if I don't text you? Where do we even make these phrases from? But, this is what I'm saying, guys. And, there is light at the end of the tunnel. How long this tunnel is going to be, I don't know. But we're going to be okay. All right? We're going to be okay. We're going to be fine. And at some point or another, there's still work going on. We still have good things happening here. $600 million in bonds for Brightline. We still have Amtrak going ahead and they're getting $1 billion in the CARES Act. So things are still happening. Things are still building. Even Brightline, that is, after laying off workers, they're still working on the Orlando extension for Virgin Brightline. So things are going to happen. Things are going to be okay. And we're going to be fine. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Social distancing of 6 feet isn't going to be enough because what Jared just said here, the virus can move as much as 27 feet. So, yeah, physical distancing, that's what you want to do. You can't, and that's the good thing, and it's popping into my head now. Why do we want to distance ourselves socially from each other when we need to socially be together? Physical, it doesn't matter whether we're 1,000 miles apart or 27 or 6 feet apart, but we need to stay contacted socially. We need to stay together. We need to keep these ideas flowing. We need to keep debating, and we need to keep the economy and we need to keep technology moving forward. It's just the way things are going to work. And yeah, and again, you had people that are taking advantage of this. People are going to take advantage of us, the American people, and of civilians all around the world. But we're still more, and we can't just keep bending our knees all the time. At some point or another, people are going to snap, and it's not going to be pretty. It is not going to be pretty. It will be pretty in the end after we get this done, if we get it done the right way. So good times are coming. All right, anybody's got any other questions? We'll go around for a little bit longer, and then we'll call it a night here. But we've gone on for about an hour and 25 minutes. It's been pretty long. And 36 people here for this April 18th at 9:27 Eastern Daylight Savings Time. One of you guys corrected me when I said it was Eastern Standard Time. Do hospitals have any room left for hurt patients? The thing is that a lot of hospitals do have plenty of room. Now, it depends on some places. Like places like New York, there are hospitals that are overfull because they have a lot more people that have the coronavirus there. But let's say in a place like here in Columbus, Indiana, there are a lot of rooms open for people that, are hurt. Now, are they dedicating the amount of people and nurses for those? Probably not as much right now, and probably is not the best time to go ahead and break your arm on a biking accident and get to the hospital, because you may be coming out with a cast and with a nice dose of COVID-19. But again, this is the problem, that we don't go ahead and prepare for all of these. The hospitals should be running as normal, expecting more cases of coronavirus, but not going ahead and completely emptying out everything. Because here's the other thing. You have people that are now not getting what they call elective surgeries or elective procedures. Now, what counts as elective procedures? Things like cancer treatments, things like surgeries that have been planned for months that are still vitally important. Okay, or those type of things are called elective surgeries. So you're gonna have a lot of people that, even if they're they're supposed to get their cancer procedures done, they're probably not going to be able to get it, and a lot of them may certainly die. But you're not going to see those numbers on TV, because the media is not going to report that, because they want to go ahead and trump up the amount of people that have died from the virus. And it's understandable. Yes, there are a lot of people dying from this virus, but that doesn't mean that we need to stop everything in order to do that. We have to adapt, not stop. That's the problem. Let's see, any other... I don't know why messages are being retracted or whatnot. If that's you doing it, that's fine. But, hope that's not YouTube. That's the only thing I'm worried about. All right, Pensy Fan asked, why can't private companies such as Brightline run most of the passenger service in the U.S.? They would have almost guaranteed funding instead of cuts from the government. Yeah, of course they would. Now, the problem is that they're not at that stage yet. If they were to get to that stage, to already have the amount of... not only the amount of services running and the amount of right-of-way. So if they're not just running in South Florida, which is a very limited scope, let's say Brightline was at this point, let's say in April of 18th of 2020, let's say Brightline in alternate reality had built everything from Miami to Orlando and from Las Vegas over to Los Angeles. If they were doing that, and let's say they had probably enough capital in stock instead of buying back their stocks like the airlines, they will probably be doing better and doing all right, and not thriving in this situation, but they would probably be doing a lot better in this situation than before, and probably a lot better. No, they would be doing a lot better than the airlines. But that's the thing; they're not at that level yet, and the government has stifled a lot of movement in this industry. Again, a lot of it due to corruption in the government. That's just simple. Grambo asked, when do you think this quarantine would end, and for how long exactly? Here in the state of Indiana, they said that the lockdown was going to end by the first day of April. That has been extended constantly, and now has been extended now to May the 1st. I guarantee you it will be extended again. We're probably going to see lockdowns at least for a couple of more months. Now, will the quarantine stop? Probably yes, but I don't know. Again, you don't want this thing to go ahead and say that, we're at the end of this curve and say, oh, the curve is flattening. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and everybody go back to work and, no masks and we're free and, go ahead naked in the street. And then it just goes up again. That's the problem that people want to avoid. So in order to do that, we need to go back to work. We need to be wearing our protective personal equipment, your PPE. Wear what you need to do. Stay safe, stay healthy. Again, people are going to stay healthier if they're able to go to work. Not if they're out of work and they're not doing anything all day. They're drinking alcohol. They're doing reckless things. And, only bad things can happen from there. But if you want a healthy society, it needs to be working. It needs to be mentally well. It can't be addicted to a whole bunch of substances and opioids. It needs to be healthy. Okay? Make America healthy again. That's another thing that we should be doing. But we want to make America's railroads great again. And yes, I will get these hats to you, and I will get them out. It's gonna take some time, but when I get some off downtime and working, after of course work hours, I'll be able to do that. Running the whole Amtrak system is you can't run a large system like that and expect to come out well. That's why the Japanese went ahead and split off the Japanese National Railways into separate Japanese companies. There were private companies, of course. So that's why I really am a big fan of the Japanese system. They did it right. Can the economy use its own factories to make its own products for the American people? Absolutely. We need to. That's the other thing that we need to start doing. So speaking of Japan, the Japanese government is now providing about $2 billion for companies that are based in Japan that have factories overseas over in China to go ahead and bring those factories back into Japan. So this $2 billion is being used to go and help these people to bring back the factories and bring back production in-house in Japan. Now, if the government wants to do something with all these trillions of dollars that it's doing, I suggest that it go ahead and use this stimulus money to move production out of China and into the United States. Not out of, because if you move it out of China, all these companies are going to do is say, oh, we'll go to Vietnam then, or we'll go to the Philippines and build it there instead because they're cheap there. No, bring it back over here. Bring it back over here. People are out of work. We need to get the work economy back moving. And long term, it is going to be a heck of a lot better if we have jobs over here for not just this generation, but the next. That's why we want to build high-speed rail over here in the United States, is so we can have another opportunity for the next generation. I'm not talking about just this generation. I'm doing this for the next generation and the next generation that isn't even around yet. Okay? But we don't have that sort of long-term thinking government. They think in terms. They think in quarters. We're thinking here in years. Okay? We're thinking in generations. The other thing is that China is also thinking in generations. Notice that these people have, 100-year plans, 50-year plans, China 2050, China 2100, okay? And, crazy stuff has happened. And yes, now it's coming out that this thing had escaped from a lab, this coronavirus had escaped from the level 4 bio lab over in Wuhan. I told you guys back in February, and now it's coming out. So, again, that's why I get information from a whole bunch of places, because I'm in the know, I'm prepared, and I can be able to tell you guys as well. So you guys can bash my methods or where I get it, whether it's from the World Socialist League online or from 4chan or wherever the heck it is, or from the Daily Cost or the Daily Stormer. Not that I even go to any of those two websites, because the Daily Stormer is just complete cringe, and the Daily Cost is just filled with obese Marxists that still think that the ghost of Marx is still watching over them. But again, that's just what it is. Yep, and properly funded. Yep. But that's what I'm saying. What Japan is doing right now, pretty good. And, it kind of sucks that we're not getting the Olympics this year, but, it's going to happen. And I was right about that, too. They were going to postpone the Olympics. Airlines are still doing air freight. They are still doing that. A lot of the money that airlines do get is from doing air freight. So I know some people know this. A lot of people know this on here. But for those of you who don't know, when you get on, let's say, a United flight, an airlines flight, it's not just carrying your luggage underneath. There is also air freight underneath that as well. They're carrying air freight in there, very similar to what the railroads did, especially after the post-World War. They needed to keep up with the mail trains as well in order to keep up a potential amount of revenue. But once the U.S. government moved a lot of that mail freight over to the airlines, that basically was the death knell of the railroads, and it just the house of cards fell there. Let's see. The Last American Vagabond is a good info source. I haven't actually not familiar with that, so I wouldn't know, and I don't yet recommend people to go on there if I don't know it yet. But if it is, then it is. If it's not, well, the more you know, right? Wasn't there news about a privately funded Atlanta to Dallas high-speed rail proposal a few months ago? I believe so, but the other one that people were talking about is the one from Atlanta to Charlotte, North Carolina, which Brightline was thinking of doing. That could have been it. Why is U.S. infrastructure so bad? Because for the last several generations, you had people who were not thinking long-term, and because they were looking more for short-term profits and for doing business as usual. The short term of the story is that this is the way we're living in now. They wanted to build more roads. They wanted to prop up airlines and forget about the new technologies that were going on in the railroads. And not only just that infrastructure, but also the rest of our infrastructure is doing poorly. Roads are doing poorly because it's business as usual. Roads are being held up by duct tape over here in the United States, to put it in an analogy. But that's just the way it is. Renell Lee, do you listen to the Alex Jones show? I haven't listened to the Alex Jones show in a good while. It's been a couple of years. I mean, I'll pop in and just hear stuff, what's going on, or clips or whatever, if there's something is going on. Especially now with the coronavirus, I'm trying to see, whatever sources that I can get and use from. But, that's probably what's going on. If not, it's the CVG threads that are really putting the most amount of info. If people can just stop putting on lewd pictures on there. If the government does the thing Japan is doing, the factories in China, we will go to Twitter and get Made in America trending. That's the other thing. I want Made in America trending. That was the other big thing about this cap that I got. The thing about this cap was I made sure I got it made in the USA. Was it more expensive? Yes. But do I feel proud putting it on my head every single day? Absolutely, I do. You cannot buy that pride with money. You cannot buy that pride. Could Atlanta have a better train station? Absolutely. Anybody could have a better train station. Naris is right about that. There's a lot. The virus is basically a mashup of SARS, HIV, and Ebola. It's just, my girlfriend said that this was the perfect storm. That's what Holly said. This is a perfectly mutating virus. Now, I don't think it's, the perfect virus, because this thing got out of the lab early. It definitely wasn't hatched up to it's right time to get out of the oven, but definitely this is a terrible virus. But are not private companies looking also for short-term profit? Absolutely. But when companies do that, if they're in a free market society, if they're not going ahead and helping themselves out, they will fail. If they don't go ahead and, like we just said in this story here about the Great Northern Railroad. Companies that look only for short-term profit tend to go ahead and fail and fall apart rather quickly, or for the long term and just become a festering mess for the longest of time. But companies who use that and are able to tithe their money and keep it under control and be able to look for, I need a little bit more caffeine here, but. You know what I'm saying, guys. Okay, you got to run your company right. You got to run it to last for a good time, and you got to put your money into where it's going to make the most amount of profit for the most amount of time. Okay, you can't do that if you're not innovating. So you need to innovate. Obviously, we're not innovating with our road technology. We're not innovating with our airlines, and this is what's happened. When this ends, do you think Amtrak will be privatized? Probably not. I don't think they'll be privatized because of this. Will they be privatized at some point in the near future? Probably yes. At some point, you have a chance that somebody, in government will have sense, okay, at some point in time. That's the thing that, people say about dictatorships is if I was a dictator, I would do this and this and that. And the problem is that, if you have a good dictator, you'll eventually have a bad dictator, and you'll probably have more bad dictators than good. That's usually the way things go, and especially in government. People don't really think when they're voting, and they're not going to vote in a person that says, hey, you know what, Medicare and Social Security, this is not doing well. We're bankrupting our future generations, Everybody should be more well aware of their own financial standing and should be able to be more financially sustainable. We shouldn't be having this, and we'll have less taxes. People are not going to vote for that guy. They're going to vote for the guy who says, you know what, we're going to increase Medicare, we're going to increase Social Security, and we're going to make sure that we save Social Security. They're going to vote for that guy because that's how people think. You know, people are going to think that way. You darn well bet politicians are going to think that way. That's just the human condition. That's what it is. Amtrak should be broken up into various corporations, similar to how Japan broke up their national railway. That's what I put forward since the beginning of this. That was the first proposal that I put forward, and before ARC or the High Speed Rail America Club was ever a thing. That was how I got started into all of this. All right, guys, we're at 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's 9:42. We're gonna shut this off at 9:45. What would it take for Atlanta to have a commuter rail system? It's going to take a lot of people that know what they're doing. It's also going to take a lot of money. It's going to take some proposal. And hopefully, if somebody in Atlanta with a lot of capital on hand, or a politician with some sense can see what is going on over in Florida, or if somebody, let's say, a large civil coalition, or let's say a petition or proposal can be done online to be able to bring awareness to this and also get the support of politicians in Atlanta, they could probably do something similar to what Brightline is doing. I don't know. But that's where we're on. We need a government that will run the trains on time. Funny enough, the Italians still didn't run their trains on time when Mussolini was in charge, even though that's what a lot of people say. They're Italians. They're not going to run their trains on time ever. Of course, thank you. Thank you for coming on. All right, I think we got time for one last question. It's 9:43. All right, Darius, I'll go ahead and make you, I dubbed the mod. Yeah, Darius, if you're going to put on stuff over here, yeah, put on citations and put on things. Okay, yeah, if you guys ever, put on articles, again, do that. I'm all for that. Put on articles, unless just hopefully don't put links to an OnlyFans account or any of that. No smut in here, no degeneracy. Get out with that. Be gone. This is a Christian channel. Well, not a Christian channel, but you know what I'm saying, guys. Yeah, Italian work ethic, exactly. I can say that because I'm I'm mostly Italian anyway, hence the last name. Brightline runs their trains on time. They absolutely do. Despite being in South Florida, they run their trains on time. You got to give them that. You're a mod, Ari. You're a mod, Darius. You can put on links now. All right, next video. We are going to be putting out videos also this week. I'll probably look for Wednesday. I'll be putting more updates on the YouTube community, so you guys can be seeing when those videos are going to be coming out on Patreon. And I'll probably be doing some more stuff on Twitter, because I do see, there's a lot of updates that you get from Twitter, so I'll probably be getting more involved on Twitter. So that's what we're doing. So again, expect the upcoming videos to be going on of what updates are for a separate video for Brightline, separate video for Texas Central, and a separate video for California High Speed Rail through the pandemic. All right. And we'll probably be doing stuff. I want to do something on, more historical stuff, since we're not going to be getting out there and traveling and doing all that, because I had so many ideas to go ahead and travel. I mean, there will still be some. Yes, this is a Christian Minecraft server. Yeah, but we do have a lot of videos that I had planned. We were going to do but still a lot of them can be done, because a lot of them can be done here. So we will get those done. All right. So we'll get that done. It is 9:45, guys. We're stopping here at the station. We thank you all for joining and for being a part of the American Rail Club. Be sure to, if you're not subscribed yet, which you probably all are, you guys are all awesome, that is why. Be sure to go ahead and tell your friends to subscribe, like, and share this video, and share the next upcoming videos. If you do have a little bit more pocket change, do support us if you can. If not, keep that pocket change, buy more masks, buy more toilet paper, keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep yourself armed. All right, be a good American. We still have the First and Second Amendments. The two most important, the only amendments that I care about, honestly. That's all we need. All right, guys. Take care. Be safe. Stay healthy. God bless you. We'll make it through this. Take care.